What if the traveler started in Inazuma? Instead of starting in Mondstadt, let's say the unknown god left the traveler on Inazuma. How would the story change, and will it even be possible to escape the region? Today, we'll discuss about that. Let's begin. First of all, Paimon and the traveler would not have met, so he would know absolutely nothing about Tevat, no longer having a guide. For simplicity, let's just say he found Paimon again while fishing, to make the story still function. The traveler finds himself at the docks of Rito, where he is immediately forbidden from entering further, being an outlander, and the Sukoku decree still being implemented. Not having met Toma means he wouldn't have the entry papers, or the 2 million more to get registered. The traveler now has two options: either try to swim through the ocean, and hopefully reach a different nation, or the much better choice. He and Paimon enter Inazuma anyway, now being wanted fugitives. Unfortunately for them, they can't leave Rito, with guards keeping watch of the exits, and not having the travel permits needed. While sneaking through the city, the traveler stumbles upon a statue of the Seven, where he resonates with Electro, his very first element. Paimon then gives him the rundown of the archons, elements, visions, and the 7 nations. This is where I did a bit of jumping with the timeline. Traveler sees someone getting their vision taken by the guards. Before he could intervene, a girl in orange grabbed their attention. Paimon scolds her for not interfering, as the guard takes the vision. However, it was all a ruse, and the girl, Yoimiya, explained the vision he gave was fake. Thanks to Masakatsu's craftsmanship, she and other vision holders managed to trick the guards, allowing them to keep their vision. Sadly, she heard news that he got locked up somewhere in Rito. Actually, that was why she was there. She was planning to barge in and save him, before they transfer him into a more secure prison in Narukami Island. Traveler volunteers to help, in exchange for her assistance, and she agrees. They go to the police station to break him out, and the story goes on like usual, saving a not-so-injured Masakatsu from sustaining any more damage. Afterward, the traveler asks her to help them with the necessary documents, and to help them hide for the time being, both being wanted fugitives. She asks Toma to help them with the papers, putting a good word in for the traveler. Toma tells Ayaka about him, and she sees great potential within the traveler, as he is powerful, and is willing to put himself in danger for others. Although it was a slim chance, she thought he might be able to change the tide of the times, and help stop the decrees of their archon. She requests for Toma to help the outlander, and he diligently follows her command, gaining the necessary papers. After that, the first part of the Conquest would happen. Toma turning in their entry papers, lowering the cost of the registration, and making the two help the members of the International Trade Association, as a favor. It all goes well, but then Toma leaves, without giving them the entry permit, to exit out of Rito. After walking around, someone named Chisato talks to them. She asks for them to help deliver a letter to Narukami Island, and in exchange, she will help them leave Rito. There was no one who would defy her father's will of marrying Kamachi, but the traveler was an outlander, seeking to get to Narukami Island. It would be regrettable for her to let the opportunity slide. The following day, she uses her position to force the two guards to accept the traveler as her bodyguard, where they are finally free. Later on, the pair greet Toma at the tea house, see the statue of the omnipresent god, and go to the Kamisato residence. Ayaka anticipated their arrival, as she had hoped the traveler would assist in the fight against the shogun, but he refused. Confused, she asks why the traveler helped in saving Masakatsu, if they weren't willing to rebel against the decree. He explains that it wasn't the main reason he helped. Part of it is that he really needed a favor from Yoimiya, or else he and Paimon would be trapped forever in Rito. His only goal in the nation is to reach the Electro Archon, and ask if she knows anything about his sister. Ayaka, realizing she misjudged him, compromises by promising to bring them to the shogun if they do 3 small wishes on her behalf. The Archon quest then goes on like usual, meeting the 3 people who had their vision confiscated, encountering Miko, and then going back to the Kamisato estate. Seeing the suffering firsthand, the traveler finally agrees to help, much to her delight. Sometime after their hot pot game, they return to the tea house once again, where Ayaka confirms her fears that Toma may have been taken away by the Tenryou Commission, as he would be the 50th victim of the Vision Hunt decree. Traveler in Paimon tries to save Toma, see the Raiden Shogun, and the confrontation goes on like normal. I think the only difference is that Raiden would defeat the Traveler much faster, not having too much experience, and with this being his first ever major fight. This might result in her not seeing the Traveler as a very big threat, but she would still view him as an enemy of eternity, being able to manipulate Electro without a vision. Toma saves the Traveler, Raiden issues an arrest warrant on us, and off we go to the Watatsumi army. Nothing much of the plot changes here too, up until the Traveler is chosen to represent the resistance in the fight of honor. I still think the Traveler would win against the three soldiers, but there might be a slim chance the Traveler would lose, with him not being as powerful. However, that fight doesn't really matter in the end. The plot would still continue as it would, Kokomi coming in to save them, going to her island, becoming captain of Swordfish 2, and seeing Teppei die. The Traveler wouldn't recognize what delusions are, but I'm assuming someone as knowledgeable as Kokomi would be able to explain it to him. This is where he would get his hatred for the Fatui, go to the delusion factory, and absolutely not recognize Scara in the slightest, but still be mad at him for his constant taunts. After his speech, he would see Miko, then black out. The Traveler wakes up to her explaining that he is the only one who can save Inazuma and Raiden. We can just skip this entire portion, as I don't really see anything changing. Now, time for the major part of the story, where I can see a very big change. The Traveler and La Signora call a duel before the throne, after finding out that she is the mastermind behind everything. They fight, and unlike the other battles he has done before, this one actually matters. It matters a lot. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't think the Traveler has a very high chance of winning this one. First of all, he only has one element, a big difference from the previous three he had when he fought her in the original timeline. Second, he is much less experienced in combat, as he originally went against Storm Terror and Child, a fellow Harbinger, before facing against her. And third, the Traveler doesn't have as good of a desire to win. Yes, he is mad about Teppei, and he definitely would want to live, but originally, he was also mad at her for attacking Venti and stealing his Gnosis. He met her beforehand too. Not to mention, during their original confrontation in Mondstadt, the Traveler completely lost against her, not being able to do much to help Venti. I think this would be the part where the Traveler's journey ends, losing against Signora in the duel, and Raiden executing him with her ultimate attack. But in the small chance that the Traveler does come out on top, thanks to plot armor, the story can go on like usual. We fight A inside her realm, where I can see a different outcome, but not in the way you would think. I assume the Traveler would be able to defeat A if he could also beat Signora, and he was heavily assisted by Miko and the visions embedded in the statue during this fight. After defeating her, the Traveler would initially reply, "She's doing more harm than good, and that when people move with all their might, they can surpass the gods' expectations." But he hasn't been to leeway in this timeline, meaning he hasn't learned that lesson yet. So for all we know, he might end up agreeing with Raiden and take her side, as he is a blank canvas during this entire quest. However, I think even then, the Traveler wouldn't side with her ideals of eternity, and still agree with Miko to strive for the notion of progress instead of wishful thinking. After this short reunion, the Electro Archon then decides to get rid of the Vision Hunt decree and the Sakoku decree, allowing the Traveler to continue in his journey of finding her sister. His next stop will probably be the docks of Liyue, as that is where the ships coming from Inazuma usually go. Oh, and his fight against Child will be very anticlimactic, as the Traveler managed to defeat Signora, the 8th Harbinger, when he's now facing off against Child, the 11th Harbinger, meaning he would definitely win. The end. Thank you all so much for watching. Give a like if you ended up enjoying this video, and subscribe to be notified of my future videos. Bye.